Hey guys, it's Mike Step in the Career Management Office here at Baylor University. We're getting really close to the semester starting. Orientation is next Monday, so we're looking really forward to seeing you guys on campus. Just want to kind of go over some pre-work for our class. We've got two things. So we're going to go over a presentation on resumes, really basic. We're going to cover kind of the format, the template, what we're looking for, and then talk about some bullet point development, and then we're going to introduce and launch our new VMOC resume development tool, and then go over Career Leader, which is a career assessment and discovery piece to help you solidify possibly what you're thinking about doing on your internship or your full-time job, or even reaffirming that, but also maybe creating new thoughts, new funnels, new career funnels, new things to pursue that you haven't thought of that are suitable to your skill set. So let's jump in real quick. So Business 5111, I'm the instructor of record, Mike Step. I'm the Director of Graduate Career Management here at Baylor. I've been here going on 7 years now. I have a significant background in executive headhunting and recruiting, HR consultant, risk mitigation, sales operations, training and development. Over the years, I've looked at thousands of resumes, probably more than that, and hired and fired mid-level, C-level executives, and headhunted and recruited for the major Fortune 500 companies. So definitely have a lot of exposure to the career management side and look forward to sharing that information with you. Amy Rylander is the Assistant Director of Graduate Career Management, also a seasoned professional on the recruiting and HR side, responsible for over 30 or 40, maybe 50,000 hires a year at our previous job with Movie Gallery in the HR training and development role there. So again, looking at a lot of resumes, looking into developing people, coaching people, training people, and so we both are going to be critical in your career management development and having you hopefully achieve your career goals. And realize we're both here to help you, and we're excited about that. Our department is headed up by Kenneth Buckley. He's the Assistant Dean of Career Management. 25 years just in semiconductor, C-level executive kind of arena. Really felt about 12 years to go back to the academic world and really help make an impact on folks' lives. And so he's here now, headed our department, so he oversees not only the graduate career management but also the undergraduate career management, and he also oversees engineering and computer science career management as well. So the three of us are dedicated. Amy and I will be your primary contact, but we're dedicated to helping you achieve your goals. So let's dive into it real quick. All right. Basic questions. I hate to start from scratch, but let's do it, right? A chronological overview of your education and work experience is the complete definition of a resume, right? It's a representation of the roles, responsibilities, and projects that you've worked on, things you've done, right, with your work product. An executive summary of your overall skills. Seems very simple. The purpose is basically to convince the recruiter that you are the right position, the right person for the position, right? They have an opening and a need. They have plenty of applicants, and it's your job to show them through the resume and through your networking and through your connections that you are indeed by far one of the top candidates, so they'll come in and interview you. To establish yourself as a true fit compared to the job description. We won't really talk about it in this particular lecture, but going forward we'll talk about a lot about the fitting and the tailoring process, really taking key information out of the job description and making sure you're incorporating it into your resume to help you increase applicant tracking system scores and the recruiter's interpretation of you as a viable candidate for that position, right? And we're always looking to land an interview. That's the ultimate goal, right? We got to get you a phone screen, a video screen, or that first round interview, and then get you through that process so you can land that internship or job, right? Resume formatting style required. Everybody always asks us, why can't we use our style? First of all, there's thousands of resume tips, tools, templates, ways to do it. Super creative, new, fun things, websites, pictures back on, designs, all kinds of stuff. But we spend a lot of time doing research and benchmarking and recruiting, talking to other universities, dealing with the recruiters that we deal on campus. We have relationships with 400 or 500 recruiters at least each semester that come on campus or recruit off campus. And so we're constantly pinging them to see what they like, what they don't like. And so having a formatted resume style is critical for a few reasons, right? So we need everybody on the same page. So We require all the resumes to look uniform as a program for that reason, right? We need to be on the same page. And some of those reasons are basically the recruiters have asked us to do it, right? Recruiters in the academic setting sometimes ask for resume books, and so if they're constantly looking at the same resumes, the same template, and the same format, it's more optimal for them to go through and find the candidates they're looking for if everybody's resume is the same. You know, their education is the same, the template's the same, the additional is the same. It makes it really truly easier, and the easier that we make it on our two customers, right? And our career management office has two customers, you as the student and then also the recruiters. So if you make it easy on the recruiters, they'll come back and hire more Baylor grads. And so that's just one piece of that. And also, this is a clean, crisp resume that can be sent via email using networking events and is readable by applicant tracking systems, which is critical. And we'll talk about that later in class. The resume, career profile. Career profile is how we start our resume, right, at Baylor University. The career profile is one of the most difficult things to do, so we have several examples in this presentation going forward, but again, it's so important to really create your brand, and this is how you start. Basically, it's a summary statement to capture your overall skills. Think about it as an elevator pitch from 30,000 feet, right? A little broad, and it's really geared to get the recruiter's interest in you, right? It's going to showcase your personal brand and what you can deliver to the company, right? Usually 4 to 5 lines. We want it brief, concise, well written, and to the point. It needs to cover core skill sets, hard and soft skills. Recruiters now more than ever are making assumptions on skill sets based on the fact that you've got a graduate degree or an MBA degree or a higher level degree. They're going to assume that you can do your analysis, your formatting, your Excel modeling, you know, basic things you need to do your job. What more people are recruiting on now more than ever is soft skills. So we need to show a mixture of yourself. So 2 to 3 on the hard skills side, 2 to 3 sentences on the soft skills side, and really package yourself up well based on the job description. And then obviously what we just talked about is kind of comparing that to your job description and your internship, right? You're going to get a job description. You're going to say, oh, I'm perfect for that. You're going to take those keywords and phrases and terminology and kind of fit that into the resume. We're not quite there yet, but we'll discuss that later. But realize that tailoring your resume or fitting your resume to the job description is going to be critical to landing interviews and success. But we need to get a base resume first. Here's a sample of a career profile. Okay, if you start on the top, obviously we've got our name and everything. That is just the basic intro there. One thing that we like to point out is we like to put a LinkedIn personalized tag there. And so if you have a LinkedIn account, you can go into the right side of the screen under your options and set one up specifically for your name so you don't get the big, long, generic, super long tag or website address, URL address. And so this allows you to specifically customize that. And one thing too is we want to make sure that on the email address and the hyperlink on the LinkedIn are taken out. Just make sure it's pure black font. We don't want hyperlinks to go through the system for applicant tracking system purposes. So just make sure that when you put all that stuff in, you just highlight it, right click it, and just remove the hyperlink, and the text will appear in black. So up top of a career profile, that's the basics, right? Just the contact information. And make sure we don't put that in the header or footer. Just start that with the first line. So career profile. So here's an example of a good one. Half soft skills, half hard skills. MBA candidate, experience in Excel modeling, financial statement review, and market evaluation. Analytical thinker with a proven track record for exceeding expectations, leading by example, and delivering projects on time. Experience working in cross-functional teams with the ability to develop and deliver quality presentations. Strong communicator that makes decisions quickly and accurately. So that's a good first example. And we realize the most time we spend with students is on either bullet point development or this career profile development. And we realize it's extremely hard to articulate your value and your skill sets. You may not have a lot of work experience. You may have some work experience. You may be transitioning to a different career. So there's a lot of things that make this difficult. So we have a couple of examples in this presentation that you can go back and review. And Amy and I are available to help if you want to do that as well. But we always recommend that you try to do this first. Our main purpose as a career management department is not do the skills for you, but teach you how to do the skills. Because as you'll see us here often, we'll say your average career will be about 2 to 3 years. So you're going to be in the job market often. And so for you to learn these skills and be able to do these career management skills are critical to your future employment and your career progression, because we're probably not going to get the CEO job, our first job coming out of grad school, right? Here's another example: business professional experience in increasing client base and revenue, proven track record for service project management, creative problem solving, and improving business, skilled at working across different functions of a business to develop a unified organization, seasoned manager and leader of large teams who developed a strong culture that reinforced productivity and quality service, pursuing an MBA to build onto a current professional experience in order to advance career goals. Again, another good example of a career profile. Next one, this one is a little more experienced candidate, a little shorter but still good. I'll leave that on the screen just for a few more seconds. You can either come back and look at it or look at it now. And the last one here, also a good one. The one thing I did want to feature here and point out here is hanging words or wasted space. You can see here on the cursor, if you can follow it here, right where it stops with compliance issues. Once you have this period, you have all this space from right to left that's wasted. And so we're going to recommend that you edit that to pull this up to this one line, or you add more content based on your skills and background or job-specific skills to fill in this gap. Usually we recommend an applicant tracking system tip like, passionately seeking the credit analyst position at Bank of America, right? That way you can increase your chances of getting exposure because your scores will go up, and we'll talk more about that later. But really just make sure that we're not hanging these words out here by themselves and we're using all the real estate in the paper that we're given. Most of you guys are going to be right at a one-page resume, so we need to make sure that our spacing, font, sizing, everything is on point to make sure we take as much advantage of the room as possible. And realize a resume is a living document. Your resume may be three-quarters of a page, full page. It's going to constantly progress and change as you go. So realize that it's not just a final document. It's something that we're going to continue to add on and develop and grow and get better as your time in class comes. Because we're going to have you add class projects. We're going to have you add focus firms and G51s and different classes that you take to bolster that experience, especially if you're light on the experience. And so we'll talk more about that one-on-one if you are shorter on your career experience, right? The next section, so we have kind of your title, and then we have the career profile. That career profile is simply just the hook. Recruiters have several different ways to process applications, and you've heard 6 seconds to 30 seconds. And so we really need a way for you to show the recruiter that you're the best person for the job. So how we do that is we have to get them to read the rest of the resume. And to do that, we have to have that effective career profile. Think about it as the first or second chapter of a book that's so good that makes you read it straight through. You've read several hundred pages or 10, 12 chapters in a couple of hours, and it was a riveting book, right? We need them to look at that career profile, see that you're a true fit for the job, and not put you in the round file or the digital trash file. And we need them to see you moving on into the process to that first or second round interview, right? So that's why the career profile is so critical. We have to show true fit, and we have to show them that there's a reason they need to read the rest of the page. Because if you think about it on the recruiting side, I used to see this all the time. I'd post a job, and within 2 weeks I'd have 300, 400, 500 candidates. And so there's got to be some way that they filter through candidates, right? And so as superficial as it sounds, you may only get 6 to 10 seconds, and it's true. So we need to really make sure we focus on that career profile and get it well written. Next section is the resume experience section. As you can see here, we have kind of a lot of tips, and so I'm going to read through some of them, but just as a digital representation, just go back and look at this if you need to, and also we can email out a Word version of this template as well to make sure that you can just type over the template versus having to create it from yourself. And that template will come with the introductory email on Prework either Wednesday or Thursday of this week, right before orientation. That way it gives you some time to complete the stuff before the first day of class. So this is simply experience. We've got Goldman Sachs. Below that is an optional descriptor. Obviously, Goldman Sachs is a big, huge name, but if you work for a small to a mid-sized company and recruiters or the common person will be unfamiliar with what they did, what you did in a role. This is where it would be a company descriptor of an unfamiliar company would be critical. Talking about what they do, why they do it, what's their revenue and sales, those kind of things. Keep it short, but just give them enough, the recruiters enough information so they can make a decision on the level, the quality, the size, the scale, the scope, those kind of things, so they'll know what kind of work you're doing. And then we have obviously the title and then the year to date. Okay, you can see in here that we've got some date progression. On the right you have 2009 to 2012. That's the total number of years they've been there, and we want that to be on the right. When you look at the strategic analyst and the analyst, guess what? We started as an analyst in 2009 and we did a good job and got promoted. So instead of making the space where we put in Goldman Sachs twice, we're only going to put that in once because we want to save the real estate of the page. So we're going to show career progression by going analyst 2009 to 2011, strategy analyst associate 11 to 12, and then on the right here we're going to show 2009 to 2012 and have the aggregate years. First tip here is going to be open resume bullet point with a direct action verb, avoid responsible or assisted with. Those passive or those light starts to bullet points are really not effective. It needs to be powerful. So shared, assigned, responsible for, those things aren't really going to get the recruiter's attention and really aren't going to be helpful. Start bullet points with a variety of verbs and avoid repetition. We really try not to use the same in one particular document, but conceived, directed, managed, supervised, really start out strong, analyzed, created, development, implemented. Those kind of things will be critical in your bullet point development, and we'll talk about a little bit later. Do not use two-page resumes with less than 7 to 10 years experience. Some recruiters are kind of insulted by someone with 1 year or less experience having a two-page resume with a lot of volunteer work and a lot of extra stuff that's not pertinent to the job, or they have a lot of filler, or it's a waste of their time. So really take this to heart. If you don't have 7 to 10 years experience, we should be able to effectively brand yourself on one page. I have seen before where we've agreed to do 2 pages, but let's handle that one-on-one with Amy or myself. Avoid resumes with hanging words. We talked about that in the career profile just a minute ago, right? Make sure that you take advantage of all of that second line and don't leave 1 or 2 words there and leave all that white space behind, because that's going to be critical, that space, to helping you with your brand. Use Calibri font sizes. Here are the recommendations. Usually the section headings 14, name 17, spacers align 8 to 6. And again, we'll email you the Word template so you can type over it. So that's a lot of that stuff is built in. Here's another one that always is a conversation. More bullet points are recommended for the most recent and relevant positions. Again, going back to the paper being real estate, right? If you have 2 jobs and you come back to school and you decide that, hey, I'm going to apply for a job, the first job may be more of a fit, or the second job may be more of a fit, or may show fit better than the other. You don't have to have 4 bullet points or 5 bullet points for each one. You want to effectively use as many bullet points under one section or both sections to propose your brand to them so you can be an ideal candidate for the position, right? So the issue with that is going to be you may have 6 or 7 with one and 2 or 3 with the other one. So make sure that if one is more valuable than the other, you emphasize that. If both are equally, then put whatever affects your brand the most. Okay. Under this analyst, it says show various positions under one employer. So that's why it showed career progression. We showed the analyst, and then the strategist, and then the aggregate years over here, right? So make sure we're doing that, showing that career progression. Next is this internship. So we do that by doing summer, fall, spring, sometimes with classes, those kind of things. So we're going to indicate that by the summer or the month or the season. Internship, focus firms, avoid having 1 bullet point. I know I said it doesn't matter how many you have under each section, but we at least need 2. Don't leave 1. That's kind of really the only rule of thumb there when you're talking about bullet points. And the last section is kind of our catch-all. Some people put leadership activities, some put projects, some do all kinds of different headings. We recommend the additional heading. This is foreign language skills proficiency, technical skills. Once we meet with you, we may recommend you do some side work and get different professional associations or memberships, like a chartered financial analyst or a professional of human resources, whatever that may be, PMP, project management. There's a lot of certifications out there that can help you be different and separate yourself from other candidates within the job market, right? So this is kind of the catch-all for that, right? So make sure that that's in there. The one thing I will say is we try not to emphasize basic Microsoft Office suite skills unless it's emphasized in the job description. They're going to assume that you can do Word, Excel, and PowerPoint and those kind of things. Excel is kind of one of those that's iffy. It can go either way. If they make a specific reference to Excel modeling or Excel, we definitely want to emphasize that in the job description to show true fit. But if not, you know, we're going to assume that they're going to assume that we have those skills because we have an MBA, right? All right, so we talked about pretty much the career profile and how critical it was. The second critical thing is bullet point development, right? So how do we make ourselves the ideal candidate? And bullet points are the critical piece here, right? On bullet point development, you need to make sure that you tell a complete story. You put you in the context of the bullet point. Identify the action and task. Include a result. It can be qualitative or quantitative. When we talk about behavioral interviewing, we talk about the STAR method sometimes, right? Situation, task, action, and result. This is a lot of what we're trying to accomplish here. Over the years, and the tens of thousands or maybe more of resumes that I've seen, 80 to 90% of applicants give you task-based bullet points. I reviewed financial statements. I conducted audits. I designed marketing campaigns. I designed social media campaigns. That's great, but it doesn't help the recruiter show how you performed, the results you generated, and what you can come up with later as a quality work product and make an impact to the company. It just says that you can do stuff. And so you really need that recruiter to realize there's no more questions. I know he or she can do this job without a doubt because they've shown me, they've painted a picture, right, of an instance where they've told me what they've done, they've told me how they did it, they told me why they did it, and they told me a result of that, right? And so those are critical to your chances of getting a first-round interview. Because if you do it and others don't, 9 times out of 10, you're going to land that interview. You have to paint that picture. One thing I wanted to say too is on this qualitative and quantitative, there's always a result. Don't miss out on the result. I mean, it's critical, okay? Whether it's numbers based or it's just a finality or a finish, right? If you've given a presentation to upper level executive management and they're using your ideas to change business strategy going forward, let me know that. That lets me know that they trusted you. The work product that you've designed and developed is critical to the success of the company and shows your ability to get things done, right? If it's quantitative, a lot of marketing, a lot of sales roles, a lot of things like that, this is a little easier. You know, hey, I designed a new, multi-channel marketing program and increased viewership by 12% and generated revenue, ad sales up 4%, right? When you go to the numerical side, it's a lot easier, but realize that each bullet point should have some kind of qualitative or quantitative finish to it, and that's critical, right? So we need to paint the picture, we need to do the STAR, situation, task, action, result. We really need to see that whole picture. If I'm a recruiter and I get your emailed resume to me or through an applicant tracking system, I want to have most of my questions answered about your ability to perform, not your ability and what you can do, but your ability to what you can do and how you can perform, right? So that's critical. So make sure that we pay attention to these bullet point developments. Bullet points are supposed to accomplish a whole bunch of things, right? They're going to answer questions about your skill sets and about your productivity. What can you do? Show a fit. And if you give these deliverables-based bullet points versus task-based bullet points, you're going to show that clear and true fit, right? This really separates yourself from a better candidate. I'm telling you, out of all the resumes Amy and I have looked at, we can clearly show someone that's a task-based bullet point person versus an action with deliverables-based bullet points. It really makes a big difference because we're going through a lot of documents. Recruiters are going through a lot of documents. They're trying to find ways to eliminate candidates, and that's going to be one of those ways. After they read the career profile, they're going to go to the bullet points, and we need to have both of those tightened up. And it also makes the resume interpretation easier, right? They don't have to fill in any gaps, right? They know that you're a qualified candidate. Everything that goes on in your brain, you've been able to articulate and put down on paper. One of the biggest disconnects that happens with people is they apply for a job, and they, in their mind, they're looking at the job description, and they're like, oh, I'm absolutely perfect for that job. Why am I not getting phone calls? Well, you know in your head what you've done. You know what you were assigned to do. You know how you did it. You know why you did it. You know the result of that. But then you get on and you just put on paper that you did some task versus giving us deliverables and action items and what you did to complete it. And so there's the disconnect, right? You know you're a good candidate, but they know you're just an okay candidate. And so that interpretation of skill sets, what's in your head needs to get on that paper. What you interpret in your head needs to get on that paper. You need to paint that story that's in your picture through your experiences on that paper to that recruiter so they can get it done. Think about this, right? Some considerations. Scale and scope. Anytime we can mention size, if you're dealing with Fortune 10, Fortune 500 companies, mid-sized companies, or you're dealing with companies with revenues in the 8 millions, 6 billions, whatever that is, right? All of that helps recruiters see the amount of work, the quality of work, the trust that your current employer or former employer put in you to get the job done. So scale and scope can be critical. Numbers and percentages, always good. But think about which one's better. If you're at a small mid-sized company and you save them $150,000, that may be awesome for them. That may be 2%, 5%, 10%, 20%. Who knows what savings that is? But then if you're going to Exxon or Walmart or Target or Goldman Sachs, that's going to be a drop in the bucket. So instead of using a number that may not be a whole number, it may be a percentage. I saved the company 22% on operational overhead costs for an HR project that I worked on, right? That may be better than saying, oh, we saved 10 grand or 15 grand, because that's not going to be worth a lot of money to them because they're working on a lot larger scale projects. So just think about, when do I use numbers, when do I use percentages? So we have scale and scope, numbers and percentages. And then the last thing is details. It's really elementary, right? The who, what, why, when, where, and how, okay? I need to know, as a recruiter, what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, the tactical piece of it, and what was the result. And if you don't have the result on the quantitative side, we can go on the qualitative side. Or say you have an internship and it's 10 weeks long. Hey, it worked on a project, develop a new website portal for the Salesforce, doing an MIS project, and added a database, and it's being implemented by the company now, right? You may not know that, so you may have to say, hey, the project's been handed off to another applicant to go to full launch in the next 2 quarters, right? That's still a result. I know that from that, the project you did in 10 weeks in your internship, you may not have been able to finish it, but you did such a good job, they gave it to somebody else, and they're going to try to implement it the next quarter or 2, right? Or if they're not implementing it, at least let them know that you presented those findings to executives and somebody's still on that project because that's where it landed. So those bullet points are critical. Those 2 pieces are going to be the most difficult thing to do, and it's kind of like a full-time job to find a job, and some things in life are annoying and frustrating to do, but to sit there in front of a computer and rewrite that thing and rebrand your career profile and go through every single bullet point and ask these questions to yourself will significantly increase your traction rate. Because remember, your resume is a living document. We want you to keep track of how many you're sending out and how many you're getting back. If you send out 50 and you're less than 5% or 10% in hit rate, meaning recruiters are calling you, something's wrong and we need to make changes. If we can be somewhere between 25 and 35% traction rate, getting first round interviews, getting first round video interviews or phone calls, that's where we need to be. And that's how you get there, is having a good solid career profile and a good solid bullet point for every action item that you've done and completed. So here's an example of some really bad task-based ones, and so I just really wanted to point these out to show you what we get a lot in even final resumes. And so it's kind of frustrating for Amy and I to constantly go over this battle. But this first one here: increase the number of consistent clients by 50% to the company's highest point. I have no idea, looking at this, what they've done, how they've done it. I know they've increased something, but is this year over year? Is this a 5-year trend? Is this over 10 years? Or was the guy in front of him or the girl in front of him incompetent? This really tells me nothing, okay? Think about the situation, the task, action, result. Think about the whole process, right? The who, what, why, when, where's, how. How can I add scale and scope in this? How can I add size? How can I add deliverables? How can I add results? Those are the questions you should be asking yourself. Next bullet point, led company to 77% increase in volume from 2011 to 2016. That's a pretty big span. 77% is nice. Volume in what? Company in what? How critical was that? Was that increase less than 1% of revenue and it didn't make really that big a difference? Again, answer those same questions that we just talked about. The who, what, why, when, where, the deliverables, the results, those kind of things. This third one is a little better, but we're still not all the way there. Research and prepare presentation on the effects of digital transformation on the post-trade market over the next 5 to 10 years, identifying opportunities, threats, as well as possible pitfalls. Okay, sounds like a heavy-duty project. Got some good keywords in there and stuff like that. But what did they find? Did they present some findings that allowed them to change business strategies that let them take advantage of the fintech market or the market that they were working on? I really have no idea. So while this is better than the first two, it's still not a critical, solid, deliverables-based bullet point that we need to have in our resume. So realize that. I want to talk about class pre-work, but really just my little elevator pitch and my caveat into this. Okay, Amy and I's job is to give you the best advice to get you through the best filters. And so while this may seem like a lot of work, and being a living document and constantly changing it and editing and fitting it every time that you apply for the job, right, may seem difficult, but again, it's a full-time job to find a full-time job. Every year, 70 to 80% of students give it tons of effort, and they do a really good job, and they land jobs and land internships quick because they do these things. They are painful, we'll admit that. They are arduous, we'll admit that. They are annoying, they are laborious, anything you want to say. But you have to do them if you want to get through applicant tracking systems and through recruiters to land that job. I promise you, every semester, there's always 2 or 3 that don't do this, and they send out 50 to 100 resumes or 500 resumes, and they get less than 2%, and they don't contact us. They don't change it. We meet with them after graduation, and they don't get a job, and they're wondering why they didn't get a job because they didn't put in the effort that it took on the resume side. And other career management principles, networking, those things are critical, and we'll talk about those. But they didn't spend the necessary time and put in the investment on multiple things, especially the resume, to brand themselves well in the market, whether they had a networking recommendation or not when they applied for a job. So realize how critical the effort that you put into the resume is, especially the career profile and the bullet point development. Okay, that's enough of soapbox, right? Class pre-work. We have 2 things due for you guys. One is VMOC, which is a new tool for us, and then Career Leader, which is one we've used for a while. VMOC is a revolutionary new resume development tool, and so after you finish this, you will have your solid, generic, or standard resume ready to turn into class. Okay, so you should have received an invitation from VMOC to your Baylor email address. Okay, you probably receive that shortly after this recording goes out to you. And so if you don't get the invite, you can go to the link below and click on that and actually ask for an invite, and it'll prompt us to invite you. But we're going to go through and invite all the students from both sections of the 5111 class so you can complete this pre-work. Okay, the pre-work is due before the first day of class. Okay, so if your class is at 2 o'clock, it needs to be in 1:59. If your class is at 3:30, it needs to be in at 3:29. That has to be due before the first class. This is an MBA. The first day we don't waste on syllabi and the whole thing like undergrad. We get to work before the day. You only have 10 classes with us, right? 10. And so we have to maximize time. And the recruiting season and schedule will start immediately. September and October and the first week of November will be busy, and you need to be ready, and this will help, we promise. Start your resume draft in our approved format using the tips in this video. And again, when we send this to you, we'll attach the Word document so you can simply cut and paste over it. Once you get done with your resume draft, upload a PDF copy into the VMOC system. Then all the fun magic of resumes will begin. Process your resume through VMOC and make edits to your resume based on the automated system feedback that they provide. Please view the system feedback as well as the bullet level feedback. Okay, so they're going to go line by line and tell you, is this action oriented? Do you have a deliverable? Do you have a task? okay? And you will make edits until you get into the green zone or you get the highest score possible. If you get through 3 or 4 iterations or edits of this and you can't get into the green zone, that's fine. Go ahead and turn it in and take a screenshot of it and send it to us. But your goal is to try to get into the green zone, which is 85 or higher, okay? This particular one screenshot that I have over here to the right was a 53, and with a less than an hour edit, got up to an 85 based on the recommendations they gave. So really put some time into this and set the tone for your resume early. To have a fully finished template resume for your first living document before the first day of class is critical to your success. So spend some time on this. So make these edits until you get into the green zone, and then submit your best to the VMOC resume assignment in Canvas along with a screenshot of your score, because you'll be able to upload 2 files. And so upload the resume that you used to get the score and take a screenshot with a print screen, or you can take a picture of your photo or whatever, but Canvas will allow you to download or upload multiple documents for that assignment. So make sure we get those 2 deliverables for this one assignment, right? And we'll go through and grade those. And later on, once we talk about applicant tracking systems and we talk about some other things with the resume, then we'll really dive down in detail and have you guys set up appointments with Amy and myself just to really get you really honed in, okay? This will get you almost there, and then we'll finish it off on one-on-one career coaching. So that's VMOC. You'll love VMOC. A lot of analytics, a lot of graphics, infographics, a lot of good advice. This is a game changer in the resume space, so we hope you enjoy it. And so it should be really helpful. Last thing was Career Leader. Career Leader is a psychometric testing designed by Harvard MBAs to help kind of really get the answers to your questions and kind of based on their database and their experience, really try to give you some suggestions on what could be possible career choices with you within industries and functions. And so basically you already have received your invitation from Career Leader from my Baylor email address. Just click on that link and sign up for it. Complete the career assessment discovery test. Try to be in some quiet place where people won't bother you, cats, dogs, people, moms, dads, brothers, kids, nephews, whatever, and really dedicate some time to this. It should only take 20 to 45 minutes, so it's not long. It's just 3 parts. They're going to ask you a lot of questions over and over and over again in different ways. You think you're going to answer that 5 times, but they're going to want you to answer it a 6th time in a different way. Answer the questions quickly and honestly, and don't try to game the test, and don't try to remember how you answered before. Answer honestly, okay? Review your post-assessment report, okay? It's going to pop out an admin page report about 8 to 12 pages long. Just cursory glance, look at that, see if you agree with it, see if you don't agree with it, see what particular things you do agree with, some things that you'd like to pursue. And from that point, you'll need to reach out to Amy, Rhinelander, or myself and schedule a meeting within the first 2 weeks of school, and we'll make sure that we go over this report from top to bottom. And so it's critical to be on the same page. The more we know about you, the more we can help you find your job on your own, or even help you find a job with recruiters and jobs and things that come across our desk. So us knowing more about what you want to do and where you want to go is critical to the success, okay? You don't have to complete the meeting in the first 2 weeks. You just have to have it scheduled. So realize there's some pressure, but not tons, okay? And Amy and I are really accessible. Sometimes we're in the grad lounge upstairs, and sometimes we're in our office. So just make sure you make an appointment or drop by, and if we're free, we'll definitely do the appointment. Be prepared to discuss the results of the report and future career opportunities for that meeting. Don't come in cold. Review things, the top 5 in every category. There's going to be 3 categories, main categories, and there's going to be some subcategories. Look at the top 4 or 5. You know, think about things like, do I agree with this? Do I not agree with this? Does this reaffirm the direction I'm going? Does this give me another option? Does this give me too many options? Am I confused? Am I scared? Look, not everybody comes to get their MBA knows what they want. Matter of fact, most of you guys don't know what you want to do. And so the assessment and discovery piece and the research side of this, looking at job descriptions, looking at career leader assessments, doing informational interviews, is all going to be critical to your success. So don't be scared about starting an initial funnel based off career leader, some of the results from this report, or maybe even adding on to something that you want to do, because time and time again, things will change and things will motivate you throughout the section in the course while you're getting your MBA. You may have never wanted to do marketing, and customer lifetime values and marketing is something you're excited about, or customer behavior and why people purchase things. Maybe that gets your juices flowing and gets you excited about that. Maybe it's quantitative business analysis. Maybe you've never been a big fan of it before, but it clicks now and you want to do that. So keep your mind open to this, and don't be afraid to take new challenges. Don't be afraid to investigate other opportunities, because the assessment and discovery piece is scary, but it's going to be critical to your success in the future. At the end of the day, eventually you're going to have to get a job, and you've got to start somewhere. And the first job may not be the perfect, ideal job, but guess what? Take your careers in chunks of 2 or 3 years. If I need to be here in 10 years, I'm going to do this for 2 or 3 years, this for 2 or 3 years, this for 2 or 3 years, and then land that job here. So we need to think about it that way. What are we going to do to position ourselves for the first one? And this will help. Okay? So really that stops the whole tutorial here. We're going to get it processed and emailed out to you within the next day or two. Go ahead and complete the pre-work, get it turned in. If you have any issues or concerns, I'll go ahead and show you this, our email addresses real quick here, and I'll leave that on the screen just for a second. We're really excited about you being here. Amy and I both go to the classes and we participate. We're looking for a lot of participation from you guys on all the topics. Class 1 is more tactical. Class 2 is more dedicated to different things later on in your career, but we'll tackle a lot of tactical stuff from resumes, elevator pitch, branding, interviewing, case interviewing in class. So we look forward to having you guys in class soon. So we'll see you in a few days. Thank you.